19-year-old boy eloped with a widow who was 10 years older than him. They lived in seclusion deep in the mountains for more than 50 years, and it wasn't until 56 years later that an expedition team discovered them. If you don't believe in love, listen to this true story from Chongqing, China. The boy's name was Jung, and the girl's name was Ching. In the 1960s, Jung was only 6 years old. At that time, there was a village custom, a traditional folk belief. When a child lost a baby tooth, if a newlywed bride touched the child's gums, the new tooth would grow back quickly. One day, on his way home from school with a few other boys, Jung saw villagers gathered around a lively wedding procession. Suddenly, he ran to the front and spread his arms to block the bridal sedan chair. The lead porter asked, "What are you doing?" Blushing, Jung replied, "I want the bride to touch me." Everyone around burst into laughter. Someone teased, "How old are you? And you already want a woman?" Jung shouted loudly, "I want the bride to touch my teeth." Hearing this, the girl inside the sedan lifted the curtain, stretched out her hand, and with a gentle smile touched the boy's gums. From that moment, Ching's beautiful face was deeply imprinted in the boy's heart. She was only 16 at the time, but in reality, Ching's life after marriage was far from happy. Less than 10 years later, her husband died of tuberculosis. Her mother-in-law blamed her for bringing misfortune and drove her and her 4 children out of the family home. To make sure they had enough to eat, Ching took her children into the mountains every day to dig up wild vegetables. She couldn't even afford a 3-cent packet of salt. Later, she began weaving straw sandals and sold them at the market for only 5 cents a pair. Life was extremely hard. One day, while carrying her son on her back to fetch water by the river, she accidentally fell in. Just as she and the child were about to drown, Jung happened to pass by and jumped into the river to save them both. Seeing how the once beautiful bride had now fallen on hard times, the 16-year-old boy began helping her chop firewood, carry water, and do other heavy chores. After 3 years together, 19-year-old Jung finally gathered the courage to confess to 29-year-old Ching, saying that he would never marry anyone but her. Their actions drew much scolding and ridicule in the village. Jung's father asked, "There are so many girls in the village. Why do you like a widow 10 years older than you? How, as a poor boy, do you plan to support her and her 4 children?" Jung replied, "If a man cannot even take care of the woman he loves, then what use is he?" So, late that night, they packed their belongings and quietly left the village with the 4 children. After that, the villagers never saw them again. They had gone to the remote mountains 1,500 meters above sea level. Although this place allowed them to escape the interference of the outside world, it brought even greater survival challenges. In this primeval forest, even the basics of daily life were hard to secure. During the day, they survived on rice soup and wild vegetables, and at night, the sounds of wild animals often woke them from sleep. This harsh, wilderness-like life left the family feeling uncertain and lost. Yet their love gave them the strength to endure every hardship. Together, they built 3 mud houses halfway up the mountain. They cleared land to grow vegetables and fruits, and earned some income by keeping bees. Finally, they created a home of their own in the forest. Later, the couple had 4 more children. Surprisingly, Jung delivered all 4 himself, though tragically, one of the children died young. The 9 of them lived in the forest, poor but free and happy. Occasionally, Jung would go down to the market to sell honey and buy some daily necessities to bring back home. No matter how far the journey, he always hurried back, worried that his wife might be frightened alone in the dark, empty mountains. A few years later, Ching wanted to visit her family, so she went down the mountain with Jung. During the steep descent, she fell and was badly injured. Jung felt deeply guilty. He realized that their family could not remain isolated from the world forever. Determined to ensure his wife's safety, he decided to carve a path down the cliffs and steep slopes with his own hands. From that day on, no matter if it was windy or rainy, once he finished his own work, Jung would take his shovel, hammer, and a few boiled potatoes and begin the grueling work of carving the mountain. When he was hungry, he ate the potatoes to fill his stomach. When he was thirsty, he drank a few sips of mountain spring water. On the steep, rugged cliffs, he could sometimes carve only a single step in a whole day. Even in today's highly mechanized world, digging a road on a mountain is not easy. let alone doing it entirely by hand. Jung himself did not know if he would manage to complete a mountain path before he died. Years passed, the black-haired boy of the past had become an old man with white hair. The only thing that never changed was that every day he carried his tools to work on the cliffs. In spring, rain often made him slip and injure himself. In summer, his clothes were soaked with sweat. In winter, his hands would freeze so badly he could barely grip the hammer, yet he would warm them with his breath and continue chiseling. 50 years later, he had successfully carved 6,208 stone steps, breaking more than 20 hammers and over 40 shovels in the process. He also regularly cleared moss and weeds from the steps to prevent his wife from slipping. Seeing her husband's hands covered in scars, Ching felt deep sorrow. In fact, she herself had rarely gone down the mountain in her entire life. Yet their children were able to leave the mountains safely, thanks to the stone steps, to attend school and find work in the city. While New China developed rapidly, the two elders remained in their old way of life. Like a young couple in love, they only wanted to stay together in the remote mountains. In 2001, an expedition team from Chongqing unexpectedly discovered the astonishing stone steps and the two elderly people living in seclusion deep in the mountains. This hidden love story quickly attracted widespread media attention and television coverage. The 6,000-step staircase became known as the Ladder of Love. In December 2007, 71-year-old Jung suffered a sudden stroke. Holding his wife's hand, he passed away. Following his wishes, their children buried him in the mountains. A few years later, 87-year-old Ching followed her husband in death. Their children buried the two of them together, calling their grave the Together Forever Grave. Their story was named one of China's top 10 contemporary love stories, and their Ladder of Love has become a famous tourist attraction in Chongqing. Perhaps it is not a legend at all, but simply the story of a man who spent his entire life paving a path home for the woman he loved. Whether you believe it or not, love can turn cliffs into flat ground. May we all have the ability to love and be loved.